I'm Erin. I'm here with Magic Theater. We've been interviewing people on the street in the Castro in San Francisco. So we're in the Castro talking to people about their memories of the Matthew Shepard incident that happened 11 years ago, and we're with the Magic Theater. So yeah, to start with, what are your thoughts when you hear the name Matthew Shepard?
Oh wow, it's very loaded.
So yeah, any thoughts when you hear the name Matthew Shepard?
Well, it took me a while to remember who Matthew Shepard was.
So what comes to mind when you hear the name Matthew Shepard?
Desolation, grim, sad, death. I went through that Laramie when I moved out here, and you're reminded of it every mile when you go along the road. It's haunting in so many ways, and you kind of can't shake what that must have felt like. And I think every one of us personalizes that in our own way. So it's, like I said, still haunting.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Matthew Shepard?
Crucifixion.
I have no idea who Matthew Shepard is.
That's very fair. Would you be willing to just go on camera and say that?
Yeah, I've absolutely no problem in saying I have no idea who he is. I'm sorry, I'm from the UK.
Yeah, maybe it'll ring a bell. Matthew Shepard, 11 years ago, was a college student who was attacked in Laramie, Wyoming, and tied to a fence. It was sort of a gay hate crime. He was tied to a fence and left there to die.
So
for
we
6
never
days.
ever heard about that in the UK. Never heard about that in the UK, but it sounds horrific.
It just makes me really sad.
When I hear Matthew Shepard's name, it brings sadness, because I can't believe that a human being could do that. Doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, doesn't matter who you are. That's what it means to me.
Do you even remember who Matthew Shepard
Yes,
is?
yes,
Yeah.
he was beaten, tied up, left for dead. That, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember where you were when you heard that had happened?
I know I was living in Texas. I don't remember how long ago it was. It was probably a good 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was living in Houston.
Was it big news in Houston or not so much?
I don't think so. No.
I mean, first of all, anger comes to mind because the violation is just not ending, and it's still there, it's still happening, you know, and that's the part that's so hard. But I also think about our community healing itself and how the story is now, and the plays are being performed in small high schools in Alameda, and you know, and that's just really powerful to me that, you know, he's actually his story we're claiming as our own story, and it's helping us kind of deal with communities and also educating people who don't quite get it yet. So
it was a real catalyst. It was a horrible event, but it was a catalyst for a lot of good, actually, because we had to examine for what this case dramatically brought out anti-gay violence. And I had straight friends ask me, "Does this happen all the time?" I said, "Yeah." And they had no idea that it was that it could be that bad, that ugly. They knew that guys got punched out occasionally, but they didn't know that it could reach this level. And so, yeah, that's what I think of Matthew Shepard.
Yeah. Do you consider it a hate crime?
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, yeah.
It made me think about how much things have changed in high schools. When I was in high school, you know, I would hear stories about people going to beat up queers. I actually got invited by a boy to go. He wanted to go beat up a lesbian, and he had no qualms about saying this to me.
When I was in Pearland, where I grew up, there was a thing that the high school students would go to Westheimer, which was a gay area, and beat up the queers. And that was their fun. My brother used to do it.
It was a gift for me to be reminded of that kind of potential violence. It was a reminder for me to be more vigilant in my own life. So that basically was his gift to me.
It helped me actually come out, and helped me come out and find it, and make me realize who I actually am, and made me learn that you have to be who you are, no matter what anybody else thinks. And it makes me proud to be who I am. You know, I embrace it. So yeah, that's what it's done.
I think we're more aware of hate crimes, and it's put the word hate crime to the national vocabulary. And like I said, I think there's been a lot of education as a result of what's gone on. So yeah, that part of it's good. That part of it's good.
I was the only openly gay dean at the school, and so they came to me when there was an incident in the OR, and some resident had told one of the junior medical students, the only problem with Matthew Shepard is it didn't happen often enough. So we had a town meeting after that. It was to explain that that's not okay. It was standing room only. The first time Harvard Med had ever done something like that. The dean had actually got a nasty letter from a faculty member saying, "How dare you have a meeting about those people?" And so I was running the school newspaper, so he just handed it to me and said, "Here, print it with my response," which was, this is unacceptable. Was the beginning of starting a group at the school to address issues, and the group is still together, and that's probably about 10 years later, 12 years later.
Which college was this?
Harvard Med School.
I think that there is more awareness, and I think that there is more sort of cultural sensitivity from the other side. I hate to put it that way, but that's what that very much felt like. And I think that that opened up community in a way that was really incredible, and I think that you see that now happening more and more around all sorts of issues, but especially around the issues around gay violence and all that. So.
I think things are gradually changing. I don't think you can ever, there's nothing is going to just, change happens gradually and by stages. I mean, of course you can't change people's hearts, but the laws have definitely changed in our favor, more so than they used to be. So yeah, I think things are getting better. I think people can't get away with hate crimes like they used to be able to, because they're called out on it. I don't think, even with kids, I don't think it's cool anymore.
I've just seen there's a lot more awareness about being more tolerant.
I don't like the word tolerance. I think tolerance is, I don't think we should settle for tolerance. I want, I want full acceptance. So no, I don't think a lot has changed, unfortunately. I mean, I don't think that those places are that different. So, no, I'm sorry to say that, but I think that the, I was just having this conversation with someone the other day. It's like, I don't want tolerance. I want gay people to be celebrated and loved and celebrated, and I want our uniqueness to be valued by our culture and community, not by the at large, not tolerated.
I'm not one of those. A lot of people I know, I'm sure you hear a lot of people, no, it hasn't changed. No, things are the same. Things are always going to be the same. But I don't agree.
Yeah.
I think that even my dad. I mean, I think his perception has changed a little, not much, but I think we should give people more credit sometimes. I think it's better, and I think it'll continue to get better.
I worked in high schools until recently, and have seen the Laramie project produced by high schools and acted out by high school students. Sets built, lots of heart put into this show, and for me as a teacher, it's been really amazing to see high school students respond to this incident in a way that gives me hope again, that high school students can have so much compassion and understanding about hate crimes and violence, and be accepting of gay people at that age, in that environment, in a high school. They can talk about homosexuality and not in a way that's hateful. In that way the play has really changed the climate of high schools, and I've seen that at 3 different schools. It's been a powerful force, and a really positive thing for me to see.